Good morning, good morning. It's a mix today. It's a blue sky day, but there's scudding clouds over there. You'll probably see later on over Donkey there. The clouds are blowing by pretty quickly. There is something out there. Absolutely, and that something out there. John's talking about the chasing lights at Donkey. John, they're on a pattern. They go down and they come up and they go down. If you wait 10 seconds, let's leave it here, they'll come back. They're on a rotating sort of pattern that sometimes is quieter than others. Here, look, they're coming back now. It all just happens whichever moment we put the camera on. As far as the something outside, the wind, we're getting this, of course. There's another typhoon approaching. Here at Tokyo, in the Kanto area, we're not going to get hit. It's headed for the Osaka, Kansai area, the Kii Peninsula. So for us, maybe Monday, Tuesday might be rainy days, but we'll see how it goes. But if you're in Osaka, if you're here in Japan traveling next little while, the Shinkansen will be shutting down for sure. Maybe later today. Airplanes are all going to be off. If you're a traveling plan, check your travel plans. The lights are a new meme. There they are. They're back strongly. They haven't changed in ages and ages and ages. They're there. Look, they're back strong now. There is another aspect of those lights down at the Don Quixote store. Sometimes actually we can't see them, because what they do is they close their shutter partway down. They've got a big open shutter. They're open 24 hours a day. But when the air conditioning in there is struggling, many people inside the air conditioning struggles, they close the shutters to just above head level. I guess it tries to help their air conditioning maintain the temperatures inside the building there. Someone's saying, when are we going to restock the Mario Kart print? We have dozens of them here in stock. Jed at the moment, at his side in America, is overwhelmed. He's been going to comic conventions. He's been printing his inkjet prints. He's shut down his website. So at the moment, the Heroes prints aren't available online. We have lots of them in stock. Jed has them in stock, but he's shut down his site because he can't handle the business at the moment. I don't know when it's coming back. You'll just have to keep trying, ask, or write to the website there, ukiwaheroes.com. That's not my website, that's Jed. And maybe it's time now to have a conversation with Jed. If he can't handle online sales for those things, maybe it's time to turn it over to us. And we'll do it from here in Japan. But that's all I can say at the moment. So the deal with me and Jed is that online is all done through his website. In the shop is done through us here. So. Okay, what's today? We are not working on the rabbit today. That's been pushed aside by another job. We did, oops. This is from Yuki-san. Yuki-san has dumped these on my desk. She's our young trainee lady. And she is, training well. We have some prints from her. They're not all going to be good enough to go out. We'll have a look at some bit by bit. But she's done a nice job on this small batch. She's doing well. I wish she'd have come a couple of years ago. She'd be now ready to step in for Suga-san, but not going to happen yet. Suga-san. Anyway, what we're doing today is color separations. This is the Kyoto Journey number 5 print. I don't remember what we talked about the other day. I have received the key block from our Carver in Kobe, Kawasaki-san. And yesterday, my job was to do the color separations. The shop was bananas, absolutely bananas. The entire weekend, it was bananas. Paper is out. There is one printer only today upstairs. It is Ayumi Ohashi. She's working on Ramen Cats. I don't know how many more days she has to do on it. She'll work for a few more days, get it finished, and then she will need some paper. Actually, the paper's already sized. She will need some paper ready to do Misty Day at Nikko. That's Ayumi-san today. She's the only printer up there. Suga-san's gone. Yuki-chan is at school today. Ishikawa-san's, I think she's up in her country house with her husband. They're on a week off. So there's nothing happening here this week except Ayumi-san. And Namankat's, remember, she will be finished in a few days, but that's not it. I have to send it to Jed. They've all got to go over to Jed. He's got to check them, sign them, seal them, and send them back. So we're weeks away. Don't get excited. How many impressions will there be for the nickel print? We honestly don't know yet. I'm sorry. We've done, you know, proofs. You've seen the videos. The actual final run has yet to come, the first version of it. And that will be a play it as we go. Ayumi-san knows where to go. She knows where to proceed, but she doesn't yet know where the actual final one is going to end up. We know we're going to have to do an impression, touch it up and touch it up and touch it up, Yoshida style. So today, I cannot finish this whole thing today, of course. What we're going to do, I have not even figured out what to do. This one is complicated. I showed you the image the other day. And part of the complex thing is there are so many different grays. If you look, look at the back wall, the white wall. There is a gray tone as part of a shadow on the white wall. That gray tone also acts as a shadow on the tree trunk. The tree trunk has its own base light brown gray, and then the first shadow on the tree trunk is the same gray that's the shadow on the back wall. The next shadow on the front wall and the next shadow on the tree are the same thing, but they're not going to behave the same way. So I have to figure out what to do with all those shadows. But that's going to take me days of work, and Kawasaki-san right now is waiting for work, carving. So rather than wait till I get this whole thing figured out, I'm going to today do a few, 3 or 4 or 5 transfer sheets for the easy ones. Look at the sky. No decisions, and we know where it's going to go. The sky, just print it, color it, send it off to her for carving. Some of the other ones are her pants, the brown on the temple gate, things like this. The base red on the whole thing. So we're going to do just a few of these today, paste them down on a wood block, which I forgot to bring from upstairs. We'll have to take a break to go and get those. And then we'll take it from there. So first, let's just pull a rough proof of this thing to see what it looks like. And then I've got some paper ready, our patented, not really patented, our patented double layer paper with Gampi on top and a stiffer sheet underneath. Let's have a go. When it comes time to print this, we'll probably be printing it something like this with a key block not too black. We'll be printing it with a fairly faint key block. Actually, I think we're good to go. Let's just get going on the transfer sheets. What have we got? 5 of them. Can we see? Not sure how to do this. Let's try here somewhere. The weekend in the shop, you know, Jenny, it was nuts. It's the middle of August and it's supposed to be quiet here. We're supposed to be having snoozy days with a couple of staff and me. We do some fixing of the shelves and work on background stuff. And then maybe 1 or 2 or 3 customers might drop in. It was nuts. I have no idea how many people came in. Revenue was, like I said, more than the total month of August just a few years ago. And this is every day. Prints are flying out of here. We're taking pictures all day long. Dave, YouTube fan, can I have a picture? It's a ton of fun, but at the end of the day, I'm just sort of in, not shell shock, that's the wrong word, just simply zonked. Last night I was supposed to have a light dinner and then do this work last night, but I just can't do it. Last people leave, the staff leaves, they head for the station, we lock the door. I just sat here last night and stared at the wall for half an hour trying to get back to... And what a mix, you know. How much can I talk about stuff that might be private? I don't know. I think some of it's okay. For example, the mix of people, you know. Just randomly, what I remember from yesterday, there was a group of people came in from Malaysia. It was somebody who came to Japan for a birthday party and brought a bunch of his friends with him. And they're fans of ours from YouTube. And the host, the birthday party host, you know, bought people prints and stuff. Not something we expect. Half an hour goes by and it's a couple of people from Sweden wandering in, just tourists. They've seen YouTube videos, whatever. Oh, I know a fun one. Young man came in yesterday. I was chatting with somebody else, and then after a while he turned around and he said, yeah, me too, I've been watching the YouTubes too. He joins the conversation, he introduces himself. Turns out he's from Mexico. It turns out he's in the process of trying to move to Japan and live here with the intention of becoming a real estate agent. And he's serious and he's studying and he's going to get his license and all this kind of stuff. And this, like, I couldn't make this up. I couldn't make this up. When he said this, like he's going to become a real estate agent here in Japan, I just stood there, like he shocked me into silence because I wouldn't think of this or believe this or make it up. And he's serious. He's got his idea. He's got his plan. He's working it through. And people like this funny, strange, really interesting cross-section of people end up coming through our door and talking to us. I don't know what it is about our work and what we do that attracts such a, I was going to say strange, not strange, attracts such a wide variety of people doing stuff, you know. It just never stops. And I could not make it up. Diverse, eclectic, maybe just normal, maybe like every place is the same, maybe. So this is perhaps not unusual. Maybe what I'm describing is just this is the way the modern world works now. That in some place like this, meaning Tokyo, not meaning my room, that it's one of the places in the world that does attract, you know, overall people who have an interesting life and are doing interesting things. So this isn't about Dave or Mokuhankan. What I'm seeing is a window on something that's happening, you know, on a much wider, larger scale. And I think that's probably closer to the truth here. My view of the world and my image of the world is not, you know, the way I think things happen. It's changed so much in the past couple of decades, in the past few years. And Dave is a homebody here. I never go anywhere. I never do anything. I'm doing the same thing I did years ago. So I'm the guy that hasn't changed. And maybe the world is just really, 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 really changing in ways that I just haven't seen. And now because of this window that's here, that people come in this door and talk to us, this is my window to the new world. So that's probably a more accurate way to describe this. It's not that Mokuhankan is attracting these people. It's that this is the new world. There's a, oh, I see it's popped here. Okay, we're going to need like 10 or 12 of these later, but this is just 3 or 4 or 5 now to get started. Let's put the block away. Okay, let's do, in order to get one piece of wood ready to send to Kawasaki-san today, let's do at least 2 of these here. Let's just do a simple, plain, easy one. And then let's do one that is going to need a double lamination here. Let's explain it as we go on. First, let's just do a straight, simple one. The one I mentioned before, this sky. Everybody can understand this. Everybody can see how it works. Let's pop that picture back up for a second. It's okay, to remind you, I can't put it up all the time. But here's the picture. You can get the idea. There is a sky area there. If I just gave our carver this sheet as it is, she wouldn't know what part is tree. She can see that's the sky and that's a tree, but all these things inside her, she wouldn't have a clue what to do. So we have to make sure we absolutely clarify for the carver which areas she needs to carve and which areas she can leave behind. And we do that by tinting this transfer sheet. Now we don't have to use blue. It's going to be blue at the later stage when it gets to the carving, when it gets to the printing, but at this stage, color doesn't matter. What we need is shape. So let's have a go at this. I should have printed out a copy myself so I could keep it on the desk, but I didn't have that much forethought this morning. Well, I did, but I was just too busy. So let's do this. Let's start with the parts that are obvious, and then let's refer back to that picture to catch the places that are a little bit more not so obvious. Okay, there's one corner down through the gate. If I put it over here, have we got that accurate? Left corner in the gate, that seems okay. Let's move on to another area. Above the wall here. And again, for those of you who haven't seen this before, what we're doing, we're identifying areas that will be left behind when the carving takes place. That area that is tinted here red will still be there after she's finished carving. The area around it will be taken away. Change my glasses, my medium glasses, my close-up glasses, but then I can't see the chat, one or the other. Can't see. Someone's talking about mist in area, whatever. Just let me get this thing roughed out first, and then we'll have a look at it. I think you're probably talking about this one, are we? No, I don't think. I think that's gray. I think it's gray. So I think when we talk about mist one, I think Jed might have missed it. So I think it's gray, but it didn't get blue. We'll have a look at that. We'll zoom up later when we're at the end of this. But I think it's actually not there. I think it looks gray. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. Wrong glasses. Okay, there we have it. Let's do our check. Can I get both of these side by side on the screen at the same time? Okay, someone says, did I color a branch? I got it smeared here. This is okay. She'll understand what's going on. The branch is in the middle here clear. It's okay. This branch is also clear. Now this area here in the middle, this dot here is a question mark. I think Jed didn't put blue in it, but he did put gray in it. I'm not really sure should it be sky or not. Now my danger is if I leave it off the sky block, and then later on when I'm doing gray, if I leave it off the gray block, we'll have white. So I'm going to put it in here. It can very easily be taken off later, either the gray block or the blue block. So I'm going to put it in. Our usual insurance certificate. Then coming down here, 1, 2, 3, 4, that corner is there, this is there, that's there. I think we are good to go, right everybody? I think we're good to go. I think we're fine. I'm going to call it there. Next step, paste it down on a piece of wood and peel it off. And this is what kind of gampi? It's 5mm gampi. We're going to have it peel. But I don't have a piece of wood. We interrupt this channel. I'm going to run upstairs, hunt through the wood, and find 2 pieces of wood that we can bring down for this project. I should have done this before the stream started. So I'm going to head off. I'm going to head outside, up to the 2nd floor, up to the 3rd floor. Will this Wi-Fi reach that far? I doubt it very much, but this is our first chance to find out. You guys take care of yourself. It's going to take me 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes to go and get this wood. I won't talk constantly, but I'll check in now and again as I hit each staircase so you can tell where I am. Take care. Back in 3 minutes. Ooh, it's sticky out here. Step 1, we know the Wi-Fi will reach this far. Up we go. Up the stairs on the way up to the 2nd floor to the offices. Top of the stairs, going into the 2nd floor. On the right-hand side, the old party room. Desks. Are we back in range? Did we disappear? Top of the stairs. Coming down towards outside. So God, yeah, lost me for most of the 2nd, all of the 3rd. That's fair enough. I got no complaint about that Wi-Fi. There's the concrete floors here. So I'm on the 1st floor. By the time we get to the 3rd floor, there are 2 massive concrete floors full of rebar. So I cannot complain that this little Wi-Fi does not reach that far. Died in the party room, top of the stairs, 2nd. Okay, can't be helped. Okay, piece of wood. Did you entertain yourself well? So we got a piece here that's a fairly nice grain. It's a smooth, classic grain. It's called cathedral grain, I think, in the West. It's wood cut on the plank, and it's not quarter sawn. It's slab sawn, I guess. I'm not really sure the technical terms for this. But it gives us a piece of wood like this, which has the arched cathedral pattern, and we will use for the sky this piece here. Wood like this can cause trouble because there is, you know, grain marks. But this particular wood, I think, it looks to me like it's not going to have a very hard, soft pattern. This will be pretty much flat grain, I think. This one's way too hard, and you can see the pores. This would absolutely clearly show stripes in the sky if we use this block for the sky. The winter grain is really narrow. It'll be very hard. The summer grain area is wider, and it's much softer, and I can see the pores. This will be an alternating hard, soft pattern, and I'm really guessing that would show in the sky. There's some really hard places here. So no, not for the sky. That will go for one of those, maybe it'll go for the block for the gray ground, which has a mottled pattern on it anyway, and it wouldn't show any of those lines. So here we go. This one will be used for the sky. This is going to go in here. It fits, it goes on top, no apparent problems. Let's cut some registration marks and do it. Absolutely, we use both sides. Absolutely. We've got a lamination on both sides. These are about 4 millimeters. Aoyama-san is gradually even getting a bit thinner. We're trying to maximize our cherry. So when we get a good piece of cherry, we have it resawn to about 6 millimeters. But by the time we get it glued and dressed, we're down to about 4. I'd like 5 as a target. We're under 5 here. We're about 4. Yeah, just barely 4. Anyway, let's get going. Oh, freshly sharpened. I sharpened it the other day. It is now a deadly weapon. Remember, I had been using it for peeling off tape on the back of prints. Remember, we needed it fairly dull for that. But we need it sharp for real carving, so it is now very carefully sharpened and honed. Deadly weapon. We could do this, I think. And draw some blood here. Yeah, we can shave with it. So. Here, everywhere now. No, John's saying why not slice them down to 1 millimeter? It doesn't leave enough to adhere strongly. I know the thinner you get it, I mean the thinner it goes down here, the more we go into the base when we're carving, and the less there is left of that actual cherry. Plus, going into the base means we're hitting wood grain now that goes sideways long. It's a bitch to carve. It's really unpleasant. So I want the feeling of a real piece of cherry wood. I would never want to see the inner plywood layer. I know it doesn't touch the paper, but you know. And I think also too, if we were down to 1 millimeter, those lines would pop off far more easily. Don't panic, just a tap. Don't panic. Cannot control my muscles. Right, there we go. Someone's asking about the bicycle outside. No, it's not. But the bicycle, I believe, belongs to one of the staff members at the Oyster Shack. I believe it's the same bike that's there many frequently. Oh, this is a dangerous weapon now. Let's do a test drop. Looking good. Okay, get your scorecards ready. What kind of beer is in the keg? I believe is it Kirin? I forget who's got the job, who's got the license for next door. It's Asahi or Kirin. I can't remember, I'm sorry. If I was going to guess, I think it's Kirin. It's not our keg, of course. It's the keg from the Oyster Shack next door. The neighborhood used to be all Asahi back in the old days, the entire district. There was no chance of any other beer being sold here. Tokyo was broken up into beer districts. The northeast was Asahi, their headquarters is across the river there. They locked this place down. If you went out to a bar in Shibuya, you'd be getting a Sapporo or Ebisu. Ebisu Brewery, which was bought by Sapporo, they had a lock on the southwest corner. There must have been maps. It must have been a war between the major breweries. And in their sales room, they would have had maps, and a battalion will go here and salesmen will go here. And that's a no-go district where your salesmen are going to get beaten up and thrown out or something. You know, whatever. It was absolutely brutal war. One of my friends, Doi-san, he used to work for Kirin, and he gave me some background stories on this, and he said, my God, my God, my God. There were no-go zones for the salesmen, you know. But that, I don't know now to what extent that still exists and to what extent it's broken up. Most of the restaurants and bars around here do have the Asahi stuff on tap, but not exclusively. You can now get pretty much any kind of beer almost anywhere you go. And the convenience stores, of course, they've got them all lined up there inside the convenience stores. We're talking about on tap in the bars and restaurants. So I don't know. I'm no longer part of that world. I have no access to updates on that. But there's a wonderful, wonderful bunch of stories. So somebody could write it. Maybe it's been written. There's a wonderful book on the beer brand wars in Tokyo, and it must have been all over the country, not just Tokyo. Osaka must have had a similar breakdown with maybe more local breweries involved as well. There must be some wonderful, wonderful, wonderful stories. I'd love to see pictures like inside the Asahi sales room with a big map, the territory, and marked red and green and blue and a no-go and all that kind of stuff. I'd love to see that. I think this still happens. I remember reading a news report somewhere over there. It's about a craft beer that was trying to get going in Washington State or something. And somebody else had horned in the territory, said, we'll give you such and such a price if you take the X brand off your taps and use just our taps. This must still be going on everywhere. Beer brand wars. Who gets the taps? Who doesn't get the taps? What kind of price they get? What kind of promotions they do? This must not just be something from the old days. we don't need wood glue here. On a wood glue, wood glue can really damage this. The wood glue in a wide area like this, if too much wood glue seeped into the wood, the printers couldn't get any color here. We want no glue left over here at all. So for this thing, which has no fine lines, we don't need the strength of wood glue. It's all wide areas. So we need a water-based mucilage, which doesn't leave any trace in the wood whatsoever. We only use the wood glue. I would really rather not use the glue anyhow, but for the key blocks, which have fine lines, this mucilage is not strong enough. And when there's a fine line being carved, sometimes if it's mucilage, you carve along one side and the paper lifts off, and now you can't see the other side. But for color blocks, no problem. Standard Yamato Nori, you know, the Japanese stuff in the little tubs. That's what nearly everybody uses. This would work fine. You dip your fingers in, smear it all over the block, paste it down, you're good to go. It comes in those tubes, the plastic tubes in a stationery store. That would be absolutely okay for this. Let's do this. Pull, pull, pull. Run to the end. Cut the corner where there's no glue. Cut. Surgery. Rip it, rip it, rip it. Let's go. No fooling around. Away. Done. 10 out of 10. Boom. And there we go. Perfect for our carver. Absolutely perfect for our carver. Doesn't get any better. She can see every clear line to carve, absolutely everywhere where to go. It's a dream, an absolute dream for the carver. She's also done a nice job, you know. What you're seeing here, these lines, these are not the lines Jed drew. I mean, of course, they're based on the lines Jed drew. What you're seeing, this is a pull from her block. So Jed drew this thing in Photoshop with a brush or without a brush or whatever. I got no idea what tool he used to do this. But what you're seeing here are the actual carved lines from the block. She's taken his drawing and used her steel tool to interpret it in wood. And it's pretty much the same thing, but it's got taste. It looks like a tree. If Jed had used a mechanical thing, all those lines would have been exactly the same thickness, and she's put it into real woodblock print form. Very nice. I'm very, very happy. She's doing such a nice job. Just may she live long and prosper. My God, craftsman. Okay, that's one done. Now, it's now 8:43. We have time. Oh, I've talked a bit too much. We may not have time to do the next one, but I want to show you something really different. The way we're going to do the next one, and I can't wait till the next stream. We're going to have to do this. The next one is going to be for the red. Now, the red, the vermilion. Okay, now up in the trees at the top, the red, if you look in the tree up there, it works just basically the reverse of the sky. Look at the top left. We know what to do in red. Ignore the gray, the deeper, the overshadows for the moment. The red is going to fill the tree area. So up in the top left, red will fill the tree area. No problem. Up in the top right, you can see we have to be careful. We have to avoid those sky areas. We have to avoid the trunk areas. But bang, 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 red fills the tree. But look down at the ground and on the green, the area behind her head here and on the ground. Look right behind her head. There's red there, but there's no outlines. We need the red to be colored here, but how on earth am I going to find that location? Because look across to Jed's original, there's no black lines there, and she didn't carve a black line here. So how am I going to locate that red? There's a bunch of different ways to do it. I just make it up. I do it freehand here, whatever. But then when it comes time to do the green, I can't use the same master because my red might have been in a different place. So what we're going to do here is this. Yesterday, I took Jed's Photoshop file and I created this, which is a printout of just the red area. Now, why don't we use these? Suppose I did this and I pasted it on a piece of wood and there we would have it. They would be able to see the red up here. They would be able to see the red down there. Problem is it wouldn't match because this is Jed's Photoshop file. And the edge of this tree, it's where his Photoshop file had the edge of the tree. But as we've seen, this is real life where she carved the edge of the tree. And it almost certainly won't match. So I can't have a carved key block and a color block that comes with data from the Photoshop file. So how do we get around this? Here's what we are going to do. This one is just what we saw. Let's get rid of this red thing here. This sheet is just what you saw me do with the sky. And here's what we're going to do with the red. I'll just start here just to show you. We're going to color in the area, and it's red matching red. That doesn't matter. We're going to color in all those areas that are actually going to be red tree. I'll do this slowly. Boom, 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 boom. But down here for this area, what I'm going to do is we're going to do a hybrid. I'm going to take this Photoshop printout, which is printed out on the thin Gumpy paper, and I'm going to ignore the top part. I don't need it. I needed that to get through 7-Eleven. I couldn't take this thin Gumpy and run it through the copy machine at 7-Eleven. But I am now going to line it up based on this stuff up at the tree at the top. So based on what I see up there, I'm going to get this sheet lined up. There's all our blobs, and now I am going to chop off. Just a minute, let me get my glasses here. Let me check, because this is important. No, it's a little bit left. Yep, that's better. This now sits on top of there, and I am going to take my knife and throw away this part. Don't need it. Gone. History. So you can see what we've got now. Now we've got the guide for that area behind her head. Let's pop it back up so we can see what's going on here. Those red areas behind her head on that green embankment and at the edge of the stone wall, and over here, our carver now will follow these black blobs. She will carve the black blobs, and that will give her the proper area for the red. And then for up top here, because I can't trust the Photoshop data, for up top here, you know what we're going to do. We are going to color in just like you saw me do with the blue. And for this red one here, it's everything. There are no open spaces. Now, is this part of the traditional Edo era way of doing things? No, of course not. They didn't have Photoshop, whatever. What would be happening here if this was back in 1777 or something? The key block would have been printed, and the artist would then sit there, or somebody would sit there and say, okay, and that designer would then draw the areas that they wanted for the red. There's no original Photoshop file. The colors get made up and created after the key lines are carved. And somebody, either the original designer or one of his apprentices or somebody working in the publisher's outfit who knew what to do, would make up this pattern. They would color in the tree, that's easy, and they would go plop, 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 and away you go at the bottom. Our colors with outlines, new school, or were the common back in the days. There were no pictures like this, realistic stuff with leaves on the ground. But what was really common back in the days that didn't have outlines were kimono patterns. The kimono would have its outlines, and then there might be a pattern in the kimono that was a floral pattern or stripes or something. There's no outlines on the stripes, So somebody would have taken the key block and in the area where that kimono, imagine her bag here. If we want a striped red pattern on her bag, we would have to now draw these stripes on her bag. So yes, this happened in the old days, but it wasn't really for leaves on the ground and stuff. It was usually for kimono patterns and shapes like that. I could have also done this with a light box. Years and years ago, back when I was doing my surimono albums, I did most of them with tracing. I had my old carving bench, had an acrylic panel built into it. I put a light bulb underneath and I traced. Now, what have we got here? The question is, does the red go behind the branches? No, the red here is everything but not the branches. This is going to be, I got to be careful here. I got to be careful here. I've really got to be careful here because this is so easy to screw up. For example, this one that looks like blue sky. This one here that looks like blue sky is not. It's going to be red. But I have to go up to the branches, but not over the branches. This one is careful. Okay, excuse me, I'm going to pop this down so I can work here. Let me see what's going on. Zoom in a bit. So there's somebody else is mentioning something there as well. When it's the original production of a print that's happening, there's much more freedom and much more flexibility. If you're making a reproduction of something, you're trying to copy what already exists, and then you've got to slavishly copy it. But if it's an original print, then you have much more freedom. And the guys in the printmaking workshop, they've taken the design from the designer, it's cut the key block, and then hopefully they're really on their own. It wasn't necessary for the designer to come back here and tell these people what to do. They know that a sky is blue. They know that a maple tree is red. They knew what to do. We've seen that. There's a very, very famous example. I think it's in the Victoria and Albert Museum. I'm not sure which museum. It could be the British Museum, perhaps. It's a key block printout from an Utamoto print with a group of bijinga. There's three women, I think, in there. And it's the print, one of the printouts of the key block. And it shows, and they verified that it's his handwriting. The people who know this stuff, they know what Utamoto's handwriting looks like. And they verified that it's his, and it's an instruction sheet. And it's a sheet that says, and there's a dab on the kimono, and it says blue. It's all it says, ai. There's another place on another kimono, and he's written shima moyo, striped pattern. There's something else where he puts something that says usu murasaki, delicate purple. And there's no color samples. These are in words. And the print workshop would have read these words, and the people would know what to do. So it wasn't necessary for most day-to-day work for the designer to sit there and create in astonishing detail every level of what was going on in the print. The craftsman knew what to do. Give them a rough outline of what you want, and they're good to go. Now Jed's giving us a huge amount of detail here. He's gone, right to the end of this thing. He wants this green, that brown, stuff like this. So wherever possible, of course, we're going to follow it. Now down in this corner here, I am confused, so I've got to be very careful. Let's pop up the original. This area is red. This is red. This is red. I will also, when I send this through to our carver for carving, because of the level of detail down here, and because it's really, really difficult for her also, even with the red marks, it's sometimes difficult to understand. I will send her a printout of just this color separation, so she can see the goal for this block. Something for her to refer to while she's working. There's our famous blue-gray, but it wasn't red, so let's take it out off this block. Is that blue sky? No, that's... Someone's saying you keep the gray spot on the red. I don't think so. I think there's no way this is going to be red. Oh, wait a minute. I think if it were gray, it makes no sense to be just gray. Yeah, you're right, I guess. I guess you're right. It makes no sense to be just gray. It's either going to be gray plus red or it's going to be blue. And I think what Jed got it, Jed missed it in the blue and missed it in the red, so he put it just gray. So let's do that. You're right. Let's put red here as well. So it can be gray and red, part of the tree, or it can be blue. That'll have both of our options. Okay, fair enough, fair enough, fair enough. Now somebody's asking, I can't see with my glasses there, someone's asking about the darker reds. How are the darker reds going to be produced? At the moment I can say I don't know. Of course there's going to be an overblock, at least one and maybe two. Jed set it up so that some of those overblocks, the first level of darker red is the same gray as what's on the wall. And I don't think I can do that, because if I make it dark enough to be shading the red, it'll be too dark on the wall. Photoshop grays are very different than woodblock grays. So I'm going to split it up. We've got a number of grays already. We're going to have the shadow on the wall. We're going to have the steps and wall. We're going to have the ground. We have the highlights on the wall. There's going to be 4 or 5 grays here. And I'm going to try and pick carefully which ones might work best with the grays on the tree, or I will cut and run and split them all up into separate blocks. Have I made any tragic large level mistakes here? Basically, it's everything except the branches. I think I'm okay. Remember, she will have a printout to refer to. Someone's saying trees on the left. Oh, yeah, look at this. Hee 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 hee. The lady appears to have 1 gray sock and 1 white sock. I wonder if that's supposed to be a highlight. I don't know. Maybe she's got white socks and there's a shadow there. I don't know, but it doesn't affect this block right now, so we'll punt that and we'll save that for later. I think we're good to go. Top left, match. Middle left, match. Right below that, these black blobs. I'll be telling her about this, what to carve, of course. I'll be telling her about this. Pretty much everything except the branches. I think we're okay. I don't see any parts that we've forgotten or lost. There may be a couple that are carved too much, which we take out later. I think we are ready for takeoff. Thunderbirds are go. Let's get that same piece of wood. We're going to go with the back side. I didn't like the grain, but for a color like this, if there are little bits of patchiness or mottleness or something going on inside that tree, it would be a merit. It would be a feature, not a bug. In the blue sky, it's a different story, but here inside a tree, bits of roughness and bits of unevenness would not in any way be in the way. $905, we're okay, so. We have a show and tell today, and it's a bit of a strange one. It's going to be something that's actually going to be a little bit difficult to show you, and maybe it might be a bit of a messy presentation, but it's fun and it's interesting. So hang on there. We will have a show and tell today. Okay, let's do this again. Do I need to warn? I don't really know. We're going to grab my hammer. There will be another couple of short taps. Tap, tap, tap. Are you ready? Get your headphones on or off. There's going to be 3 or 4 short taps. 3, 2, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sideways. Now we're going to do another one to match to get this corner fixed up. Another. Oh no, we don't need to tap. We'll do it that way. Hi. Okay, good. Hammer is away. Oh, this wood is softy. Softy, softy. It'll print the red nicely, but those the blobs along the ground, the printer will have to be careful. Small areas like this, too much pressure with the baron. Oh, let's get rid of that picture. Look at that. Sorry, it was in the way. Come on, come on, come on. This wood is really, really soft. For a wide area like this tree, it'll print beautifully. But these smaller areas down here, if the printer uses, for example, fair pressure up on the tree and use the same pressure down at the bottom, these small blobs will, bit by bit over time, widen. They're not going to widen as a flat plank, but once they're carved out, they will widen. And the printer will have to be really careful not to use too much pressure up in some parts of this block. This is a soft piece of wood, softer than I would like to be using. Can't see it. Oh, I can't see anything anymore. How's your time? 9:08. We're doing just fine. We're coming along just perfectly on time. Looking good. Now remember, we've got 2 layers of Gumpy here. This is not going to be a one-shot, bang, fabulous peel like you saw me do a minute ago. There's a layer of Gumpy here with another layer of Gumpy put on top of it. So we cannot do a single fast peel. Watch what happens. Quiz later. Now remember how this works. We have a single sheet on the top part of which I colored in the red for the trees. The lower part of it, I put another sheet of Gumpy on top of it. But because that lower sheet, the lower Gumpy was on top, that's the part that hit the glue. So those black dot portions of this got glued to the wood, but the lower part of the original Gumpy sheet didn't get glued to the wood because something else was in the way. So look what's happening here. We have, let me get the the backing paper out of the way. We have here now, the original Gampi sheet is glued to the wood in the top portion, but it is not glued to the wood in the bottom portion because the other one got glued. And I've got to carefully slice here now along that division line, on or about it. There you can see the top half is from the original sheet, the bottom half is from our added sheet. Now the bottom half, the girl's gone. We can't see her anymore, but it doesn't matter. All the Kawasaki-san needs to know is where these black blobs are. So of course our peel is going to end right there. Our top peel is just going to come to an end right there. Oh, it's only 3 Gampi. This is a different stuff. Oh, ho, ho, ho. Doesn't matter. It's not going to peel off. It's not the 5mm Gampi. This one is the 3mm Gampi. You can see it. It comes off crumbling instead of a single sheet. So let's just get these black dots visible for her. There's your difference between the 2 thicknesses of the Gampi paper to show. So there you go. If I just sent this to her with no explanation, she might not really get what's going on, but I think she knows. She's seen this before, and I'll be chatting with her on the phone. It's for 1 block. It's for red trees, which she will follow the lines carefully, and the bottom ones she will follow the blobs. And she will work on the outside of the line. Up here she works to split the line. Here she will work on the outside of those black blobs. Someone's asking the next great wave prints. As far as I know, Chiharu-san is going to do a batch later this month. What's Chiharu-san doing right now? She's doing Times Burn Bright, one of the Heroes prints, and her next job is going to be another batch of waves. So the next 60 great waves will be coming through the end of the month, no, first, second week of September. The next batch of waves will be coming through. Have you looked at the suggestions for the rabbit print title? You know, I haven't. I'm sorry. I haven't even thought about that. Guilty as charged. I know we talked about that, and when it comes time for me to do this, I will look back. We have the stored chats. My apologies for putting something out there and not following up right away. The data is there. I will have a look at it. Sorry not to jump on it right away. Were there any good ones? Many good ones? Any good ones? Or was it all just fun and games? Surfer Bunny. You like I'm going to do that? Okay. All right, let's get going. Show and tell. Okay, this will now wrap up. This will wrap up this afternoon and go to Kawasaki-san so she can get started. And that will give me 2 or 3 days grace. And I have to then get over those next 2 or 3 days. I have to do all the rest of the color separations and send them off to her. But there's no way for me to make her sit there this week while I do that work. So this will go to her today so that she can get started. She's down in Kobe. Actually, she's going to get hit tonight with this. She lives in Kobe, which is right bang in the target zone for this. Oh well, oh well, oh well. Okay, show and tell. As I said, it's going to be a little bit difficult. This is something that really needs the two of us, you and me, to be sitting here side by side. I can turn a page and show you, and you will then go, oh, I see. And then we turn the page back and you go, oh, that's interesting. And then we flip back and forth. And I'm not sure how to do that here on camera. Let's see what we can do. There's going to be a lot of flipping around, a lot of page turning, but whatever. Let's just try and make this happen. And let's do the same thing we did the other day. Let's get the bulb out of the way. I didn't kill myself. Let's take my life in my hands. Let's get the bulb out of the way. Okay, that can go over here. Let's do this, let's do this. Okay, the first item here you've seen before. This is Japan, so we open from the right-hand side. The first item you've seen before. Let's get this out of the way just for a moment. This is a book. This is the 100 Poets book, the one I got years and years and years ago when I was making the reproductions of the 100 Poets series. Someone's saying the flask will break one day. I'm on my 4th or 5th flask. They break, they do, and it's and all of a sudden there you go, you're wet. Don't sweat it, the flask will break one day. This is, we've seen this before, this is not today's show and tell. This book is today's show and tell. But here we are, just to introduce what it is. It's the Nishiki Hyakunin Azuma Ori Zen. It's the full set of 100 poets as produced by Katsugawa Shunsho. This is the original book from, what's the date? The date is Anye Yonnen. This is Katsugawa Shunsho, carved by Inoue Shinchichiro. And the date, I think, Anye Yon is 1775 or 1774. I can't remember which one. This is a little bit of an old book. The back cover was eaten by worms. The back cover is not original. The rest of the book is original. We're looking at woodblock prints pressed on paper somewhere in the few years immediately after 1774. That's when it was carved. It would have been printed again and again and again over the subsequent decade or so. We don't really know. So the sheets of paper that I'm holding here are from 1774, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, somewhere around there. Just a tiny bit older than the US of A, because this is 1774 or 5. Anyway, that's the thing, the 100 poets. This is the 100 poets that I reproduced from 1989 to 1998. So be it. I had the book during the years I made that. A few years later, just after I finished the poet series, I was okay for money. There had been lots and lots of customers for that project. I was still interested in Hyakunin issue, and one day in one of the bookstores downtown, I came across a bizarre book. I had the cases made for these here to help protect these books. I found this book, and it's the new Hyakunin issue Zen. It's a full set. This is not as old as the other one. This one is Meiji 16. Meiji 16, does our bot know what Meiji 16 is? I don't really know. I don't know. And what this is another version of the poets, the 100 poets. Of course, it was a really popular part of Japanese culture. It still is, all through the last 1,000 freaking years. The Hyakunin issue, 100 poets, was put together in the 1300s, and we're here many years later. So, if somebody got a date, this is 1883. So this is a book published just after Japan had opened up, when the Edo period was turning into the Meiji. And it's a little bit of an analysis book. It's talking about the 100 poets, and people have done analysis and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk about it. And each poem is given with an analysis by two different people giving their different analysis of the poem. So the full set of poets is here. This full set of poems are here in calligraphy, along with each page has an analysis and understanding of what the poem is. Because even by here now, by the late 1800s, the context of the poetry is now already ancient, and people could not easily understand it. But what these guys have done, the people who made this book, is they have gone back to Shunsho's book, which was published in the 1700s, 100 years before this one, and they've ripped off all the pictures. Sort of ripped off all the pictures. And they've done it in a clunky, clumsy, oh my God, I can't really believe what they actually did. They've done it in that kind of a way. Let's try and get some of these here side by side. They've done something that makes it a bit difficult to compare, in that they've reordered the poets. The poets have a traditional grouping, and these guys in the new book have changed them into their own grouping. So I can't just flip the pages one by one by one. Some of the pictures are pretty much absolute copies, some are not. Here we have the first one, Tenji Tenno. They've kept the same pose for the guy, but they've changed a little bit. They've given him a shaku to hold. And there's night and day. This one is nicely drawn, nicely carved. It's tasteful all the way up. The Meiji copy is something else at all. It's printed in a much heavier black pigment. This one is not so bad. Just wait till we get through here. There's going to be stuff here that's going to make you go, what were they thinking? The new book is greatly simplified. They've taken away all the screens. Anytime there's an ornament or something like this, they have simplified it. But look at the face. What was a face with delicate mouth, nose, and eyes has become a, I guess it's sort of a parody, whatever. Someone says phoned in, and it's not a question of being phoned in, it's a question of not quite having the skill to be able to do this. Let's just do one more in order, and then I put some marks here. I've chosen some that might be worth having a look at. Let's go to the next one here, because that's, here we are. That's why I said it's clumsy to show this to you, because we're here on a camera zooming in, zooming out. It's much easier to see when, of course, we're side by side. So let's look at one more this way. And there's an open question. Somebody's talking about this. Whose fault is this, or what's this applicable to? It's a different era, you know, a different era. The publisher who did this might even have been looking on it as better. He may have thought, that old one, you know, it's kind of faint, it's kind of gray, there's no impact to those pictures. Let's brighten this up and put some power behind it. There could be, good morning, there could be the point of view that this one is better. From where we sit now, I don't see it that way. I like to see the delicacy, the quietness, the finesse of the carving. I don't want to see bang in your face stuff. But there is a different viewpoint. They may have thought they were improving this. Okay, having said that, let's now jump to some that I have chosen as examples. And it's going to be hard. This book is delicate. I got to be careful not to mess it up. here's a pair of pictures. This first one, this is from the old book, and this is a very important point about the original book in that it was one of the first examples of ukiyo-e work that showed expression, character, personality in some of the people. Pretty much all, and I'm talking 99.999%, all ukiyo-e before this, you could never tell who it was. It was the standard hook nose and eyes and mouth. All the faces looked exactly the same, and there was no expression of emotion. But the thought is that Shunsho, who designed these, he was a bushi. He was a high-class person in Edo society. And the thought is he had access to the books and things that were dribbling into Edo at that time. So he, we think, had a chance to see Western art, Western portraiture, and the idea that somebody's personality could be depicted in an actual image of them. So he did. He experimented with this. He played around with something that had never been seen in ukiyo-e before. A sad person. We had never seen this, an actual real expression. This is the 1700s, and this is one reason why this book is such an iconic part of ukiyo-e history. And it's one reason why I chose it for my 10-year project. Why I spent 10 years on a set of prints. It's iconic, absolutely iconic. Okay, anyway, there we have the background, Shunsho's picture. How did our Meiji era person handle this one? Well then. Well then. And I don't know what to say. Are they thinking this was what they wanted to do? Or did they hand it over to a carver who just turned this in and they thought, oh my God, what have we done? Who have we hired for this job? I don't know. Every now and then in our newspaper, we read this story that somebody in a small church in the outskirts of Spain somewhere has fixed up an old statue from the medieval period, and they've painted it, and they show us these pictures in the news where this person, well-meaning person, has absolutely destroyed some medieval painting by retouching it, And this, to me, this is sort of what's happening with this one. Let's jump to another example. I don't know if we've still got time here. Let's just keep going. It's okay. This is fun. Now, what I mentioned before about the personalities and stuff has a very, very interesting aspect to this. There are 21 females in the standard 100 poets. There are 79 men and 21 women. And what I mentioned before about character and expression and looking sad and whatever applies only to the men. Shunsho didn't do that with the women. They are all flat-faced, flat meaning expressionless, posed blankly, blandly. There's no interesting expression in any of the women. He only did it with the men. He only knew how to do it with the men, only dared to do it with the men. I don't know. This guy's just a turkey. This guy is just an absolute turkey. This is Murasaki Shikibu. I could have done a better job. Oh, I'm telling you, I could have done a better job myself. Absolutely, I could have done a better job. Some of them have been really, really transformed. For some reason, this is Sugawara Michizane, very, very iconic character. And for some reason, our dude decided to face him away. It's like the old Peanuts Linus cartoon, I can't draw faces. So he turned him away from the camera. I don't know why he did this. Marcella-san, good morning, good morning, good morning. Hey. Just a couple more. We could do this all day long because they're all the same. It's really, really, really good fun. We should get these scanned and put up, whatever. Here we go. There is this is Sei Shonagon. And there's a little bit of a backstory here. Sei Shonagon is famous in Japanese literature as being a person who is perhaps better seen from the backside. There's an ugly word that's in Japan. Well, no, I can't say that. Leave it. I'm not here to teach you bad words. There are women who are beauties. There are normal women, and then there are women who I think it's better if you approach her from the back or whatever. And this story is the Seishonokan is one of such beauty. Her poem is noted, but she's never posed in a way that you can see her face. Not that these were realistic anyway, but she's posed this way. There's a word for this, and there's no way I'm going to say what it is. And these guys have copied the same pattern and given her much more of a hairstyle than this. It has taste, it has character, it has feeling. Even though we can't see her face, it doesn't matter. There's an angle to her head. And these guys have just stuck it on. It doesn't scan, it doesn't do anything. Whatever. Okay, one more before we just move on out of here. Whatever. There is one aspect, absolutely, to the newer book in that clearly there was a budget involved, perhaps. We have some of the images in the old book where they really went to town. This lady was a courtier. There's no courtesans here. None of this is Yoshiwara. These are Heian era court ladies. Don't confuse this with one of those pictures from the Yoshiwara. These are court ladies. Very, 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 very high class. Yes, well, there we go. A little bit of scissors work on the hairdress. It's good fun, all in good fun. It's great fun. And I still really don't know if they knew what they were doing, or if the guy just didn't know what he was doing, or if the publisher went for the lowest bidder, as somebody is suggesting here. I have no idea. I have also no idea what the book is worth. The Shunsho book is really quite rare. This is worth about, I don't know, it's hard to say. I'm not in touch with these things these days. This is worth about 4 or 5 grand, somewhere around there. If it was in better condition, it would be worth more than that. But this is perhaps one of the most expensive objects that I own in my collection. Luckily, I got it quite a long time ago when it wasn't that expensive. And I don't really need it anymore because I finished my poet series, but here it is. My kids or somebody will one day get the benefit. And this one, I really don't know. I don't know what this is worth. It's a bit of a rare book. It's old, and it is what it is. It's in very, very good condition. Printing is fine. The color palette is different. They use opaque colors for these. But it is what it is. It's all part of our collection. There you go. Someone says, oh, Neinhard, you got it made you for less than 5,000 yen. You got a very, very good deal, sir. A very, 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 very good deal. Lucky in that, you know, buying books, the numbers of people who can afford to buy actual books are not so many. The publishers will take the scissors, split them up, and put them out. Glad to see you got a copy. 5,000 yen. That's the bargain of the year. Absolutely. It's not a beautiful book. It's not an attractive book, but it is interesting. Congratulations, sir. I would have paid more than that. I don't remember what I paid, but I probably paid, if I was going to guess, 30,000. I would have paid more on the line of $300 for my copy. Okay, let's put her up the outside. It's Monday morning. I won't see you again for 3 more days. There is a possibility that I may be streaming from Ome next Thursday. Just a possibility, not a probability, but it's one of the things I'm trying to figure out how to structure my work this week. I may have to take some emergency trips to Ome to deal with the computer upgrade that's happening there. So I'll see you on Thursday either way. It might be from here in Asakusa, and it's possible it might be from Ome. We have flashing lights, we have a beer keg, and we have liftoff on our light pole. Yeah, the Typhoon is going to mess with my plans because I wanted to go tomorrow, but that's the mess up with the Typhoon. So I may end up going later in the week, Wednesday or Thursday instead. Okay, signing off for now. Thanks very much. I've had fun today. We actually got some real good work done. See you in a few more days. Bye for now.